Hi, it's Amy Simpson from Breathe, Believe, Achieve, and I wanted to talk about unhelpful thinking. And unhelpful thinking is patterns of thinking that we tend to kind of get lost in, particularly when life is a bit more stressful, when we're busy, when we're tired, when we're feeling anxious. And they're just patterns. It's not that they are necessarily wrong, they just can be really, really unhelpful. And every single one of us has them. We tend to find we can probably notice that we'll experience all of them, but we tend to kind of default into a couple of them. So if I tell you a little bit about which the kind of common ones are, then you could maybe have a think about which one you fall into. So the first one is catastrophic thinking. So that is when we can take what may seem like quite a relatively small thought and build it into the worst case scenario very, very quickly. So we jump to either something happening to us or something terrible happening to somebody that we care about. So catastrophic thinking. The next one tends to be that we can become a bit of a mind reader, so we can jump to conclusions. So this is where we might have some information. So we've got a little bit of information, but then what the mind does is it will fill in the blanks. Personal favourite of mine, but it's got two pieces of information. I think if you look at the situation that we're in just now, catastrophic thinking, we're at some of the information that's on the news and over social media has absolutely kind of really focused on that, taking us to worst case scenario of all the things that could go horrifically wrong. But jumping to conclusions is really common just now as well, because we don't have all of the information. So all of us are having to fill in the blanks. All of us are having to make assumptions about what might happen, what could happen, what that might look like. And the next one is around personalising, and this is where we assume some sort of personal responsibility for what is happening, even though it might have nothing to do with us at all. But we have that sense of we've contributed to it in some ways, or we have a personal responsibility to sort something. And if you are naturally somebody who is a fixer, if you're always the one that tries to make it all better, you will personalise everything that's happening around that there's something that you should be doing. Okay. And then we go to kind of a fixed mindset or black and white thinking. And this is where, when we're in that kind of real kind of stressed place, that we become very, very fixed in our thoughts. So we're not able to see that there's lots of possibilities and lots of things that could happen. It's black or it's white. We can do it or we can't do it. There's a right way, there's a wrong way. There is absolutely no shades of grey in amongst all of that. Then we've got kind of focusing it in on the negative. So that tends to be that there can be lots of positive things happening. You know, people are making big changes, people are adapting so well to the kind of circumstances of where we are, but there might be one thing that's maybe not working in the way that you would like it to, and that's what we tend to kind of hone in on. We kind of focus in on that one element that's not working right. Then we've got the sense of we just begin to overgeneralise. So we generalise, like we would say, but everybody else is able to do it. Nobody else feels this way. Everybody else is. So we make that generalisation about everybody else, and it's recognising that everybody, like who are we talking about? Who is everybody else? And then lastly, we have the perfectionist, and this is when we tend to put really high expectations on ourselves. So we use words like should, must, always. And the real challenge with the perfectionist kind of pattern of thinking is that we can always change the goalposts. So we can always begin just to move it. So maybe that was good enough yesterday, but now, well, we managed that yesterday, so every day we should be able to manage it that way. Maybe, there's a time prior to everything that's happening just now when we were sleeping well, we were feeling really good, things were just felt more manageable, so we should be able to perform at that level all of the time. And the reality being that we can only use the energy that we've got in that day, and should is actually a word that we need to kind of keep a wee eye out for, because should is loaded with so much expectation. So catastrophic thinking, jumping to conclusions, personalising, that fixed black or white thinking, focusing in on the negative, using that generalisation so everybody else is, nobody else is feeling the way I'm feeling. So that real generalisation, or lastly, that perfectionist. And it's noticing when we're constantly caught in these patterns. So you will probably notice that you probably can see elements of where you will fall into those patterns, all of those patterns, but there's probably 2 or 3 that you kind of recognise as that's definitely me. So see it as an opportunity when you notice that either for me personally, if I am constantly jumping to conclusions, so I'm second guessing everything, I'm filling in the blanks, or I'm assuming personal responsibility for everything, it's sometimes just a little bit of an indication that the likelihood is there is too much going on in my head. There's too many thoughts in there. I'm possibly not looking after myself enough. So that's the cue for me of just to take a step back and just to do some self-care, even just take a break, just to recognise that I'm stuck in those patterns of thinking because the mind is working so hard to process all of the information that's in there. So I hope that's helpful. Certainly have a little think about where you would fall into that, and yeah, just use it as a tool to recognise when you really need to look after yourself.